Okay, hello everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. Thanks for joining us today. This is our Parts Manager webinar series focused on tire sales. We are going to go about just about 25 minutes with some content as usual. We're going to start off looking at an overview of the tire business, then get into some best practices, tools and resources for selling tires. And then we're going to finish up with some Q&A. And helping us out with the Q&A, we do have Kevin Henry from Dealer Tire who has joined us, who's going to work with us on that. To start off with the overview of the tire business right now, selling tires, it's a proven way to build trust and keep customers loyal. We're having some trouble, getting some of our customers come back for some of the free maintenance service that we offer. So now more than ever, we need to focus on customer retention and keeping the business in our stores. Selling tires, if you can sell tires to customers, it helps to build trust. And when you sell tires, you have the ability to sell more. All right, not just the tires, but you have the vehicle up in the air. There are other items you can sell under the wheel well and alignments, that sort of thing. And if you build the trust that's needed and build a value in the customer's mind of what it is you're selling with tires and alignment and everything else, then you keep them coming back to you. Here's some numbers on the tire industry right now. The average age of a vehicle on the road right now is 12 years. I was shocked when I saw this the other day. Not that long ago, around the start of COVID, it was actually about 7 or 8 years. Right now, 12 years. So vehicles are staying on the road longer. There's more wear and tear, and obviously with that, there are more tires that are being worn out. Now, that being said, we've had a growth in sales in the Northeast region. In year to date, we're doing really well in the Northeast. Our new vehicle sales are up 39% year over year. And that's good for the future, right? Those vehicles are going to be coming back into our service drives, and we're going to be selling them additional services as well. Another big number that I came across my eyes the other day, $24 billion. That's the amount of tires that are sold nationwide in this country, 24 billion. The next number, though, 9%, that's the share of the tires that the OEMs are selling. So 91% of that $24 billion, it's being sold through the aftermarket tire guys. So that's a huge opportunity for us. We try to have upwards of 60% or better service market share, yet we're only capturing 9% of the tire business. Now, the bottom left number, the 78% number, is the number that scares me the most, and that's defection. So when you do not sell tires to a customer, that's the likelihood that they're not going to come back to you. 78% of them will just continue buying services, parts, service, labor from someone else, from whomever they bought the tires from. Another interesting number, 3% of all the tire rebate programs, I think there's 5 or 6 that are currently going on right now, the usage is very low. Our dealers only use it about 3% of the time. So that's another opportunity for us to help and sell more tires. And we'll show you some of that a little bit later on. 7% of the cars on the road right now that have 35,000 miles, they need a full set of tires. It's a huge opportunity out there. And for us, 12% is the percentage of our retail parts business. So when you compare it to all of the parts that we've sold, like last year, it was $1 billion in parts that Volkswagen of America sold. 12% of that business, huge part of our business, is tires, and that's why we're talking to you here today. When a customer has a need for tires, it's one of the largest investments that they're going to make for their vehicle. They know it's important, but they want to make sure it's they're getting good value, that they're getting what they, a good value for their money. But they also want to make sure that they're making an informed decision. They want to feel good about the decision that they're making for tires for their car. If you can now, usually the shop that can do that, the shop that can sell them on value, choice, and convenience, they are the ones that are going to get that sale first. They are going to, the first one that can sell them that way, they're going to convert that customer and make that sale. And when we don't do that, it's very hard to get the customers back when they go elsewhere for tires. One of the things we really need to consider is customer perception, right? It is, again, I was just talking about getting customers back in onto the drive, even for our care and carefree maintenance, right? And now we're talking about selling some tires that may be $1,000 or more. But we have to remember that value isn't just about price. It's about what they're getting in return. And you just may need to change your customer's perception of the dealership, that the dealership is a place where they are going to get their money's worth. One thing that again, I mentioned the word convenience before. One thing you may want to do, we haven't talked about mystery shop in a long time, right? We're not doing it this year at all. But when you think about a mystery shop, what it is we're trying to see what the customer's perception is when they're calling you, when they're going onto your website or coming into your store. How is that customer being handled? Tires are a great way to mystery shop your own dealer. I would advise you to just go online onto your own site, call your own dealership, or if you have a friend or family member who can go in and go in and sort of cold call your own dealership, what does that process look like? Are they getting a quick answer when it comes to tires? Are they getting a quick, are the phones being picked up? That's a whole other story. But it's a one way to make sure that the tire sales process is intact. And again, if you can get this process down, it'll help you with sales everywhere else. Now, the perception that is in the customer's mind, I have to say that really starts with the staff, with the personnel, the service consultants, and the folks that are facing these customers and talking to these customers. And that's really, really where it begins. So we do a lot to incentivize service consultants. I'm sure the dealerships, you give them commissions and spiffs. We have incentives like Next Gen, where we all incentivizing the consultant to sell. But in many cases, it comes down to believing in what you're selling. Is the dealer the expert? Do you provide value? Do you provide convenience? If you believe that you are just too expensive, well, you're going to be a little bit shy when it comes to selling to the customer. So it's something that your consultants have to talk to the service manager and the parts manager about and getting on the same page. And the service consultants got to realize that they're not asking the customer, for a favor. They are providing a service to them. So take advantage of the training, be the subject matter expert, be a true consultant to the customer and earn their trust. And are you using the selling tools like the price match guarantee? Well, if you have a price match guarantee, well, then you're going to feel a lot better about the price, about the what you're selling, free road hazard coverage, and other selling tools like that. This is all a way to build a relationship with the customer. And if they don't believe these things, the customers won't either, and they're going to end up going somewhere else. I'm going to get into some best practices for tire sales. Just kind of summing up some of the info on that data slide, with the 78% defection, that is one of the biggest risks there for not being in the tire business, right? There are advantages when you sell tires, you get the brakes, you get alignments, other jobs, but then there is a risk for ignoring tires, and that's when you're starting to see customers, you're losing customer attention going elsewhere. So one of the best things that you can do, one of the best practices, is use the tools that are already at your fingertips. The DRSG, the Dynamic Retail Selling Guide, that is you're going to be your number one resource for selling tires. And I'll show you what that looks like in a minute, but that is going to be the way that your service consultants can sell with confidence. They can believe in the product themselves, and they can show the customer reasons why they should believe as well. AOR, automatic order replenishment, another great tool to keep the tires that you sell in stock, making sure that you're priced to compete. That is, being competitive with the local, and that doesn't necessarily mean being the cheapest, but being competitive, but offering some flexible payment options. Also, is another way to be competitive, and leveraging all the many marketing tools that we have. And I'll show you a glimpse of what we have here in just a minute. Once the customer is in the store, it does get down to a few basic items when it comes to tires. The walk around, I know that dealers are set up differently. Not everybody has a full service drive, but anytime you can get in front of a customer and talk to them about their tires and show them things like wear, uneven wear that could help sell an alignment, not just tires, bubbles in the sidewall, spider web cracks that can show the age of a tire, even if the tire is not worn. Anytime you have the ability to see, for the customer to see that with their own eyes, it greatly increases the chance that you're going to make that sale, and you're not going to have to worry about building trust. The customer's seeing it with their own eyes. So if your advisors are not doing that, if they're not taking a few minutes to walk around the vehicle with the customers, I would highly advise it. The MPI, we talk about it, we preach it, and offering it is great, but we all know we need to make sure it's being done correctly. And is a service advisor going through everything that has actually been checked? Are they going through the list and going through the details together? Using, even if the tires are green, that's a great way to build some trust. Have a conversation with the customer. Let them know everything's great on your vehicle. You have nothing to worry about. That's a great way to let the customer know that you are checking in on your vehicle and you're not just trying to sell them on everything. And the final thing is, telling is not selling, right? I mean, you have a customer has an issue with tires or an issue with uneven wear. Take a minute to explain to the customer exactly what that means. Do they need to get it replaced immediately? Is it something they can wait on? It's another thing that helps to build trust with the customer. The DRSG, Dynamic Retail Selling Guide, again, one of the best tools I've seen out there. And for all of our Volkswagen stores, it's something that every service consultant should be using every single time. In fact, anybody in service or parts can access this and give the customer everything they need to know about tires for their vehicle, the different options, giving customers a choice of what's available, showing the rebate offers there, checking inventory, and offering the flexible payment options. We have so many rebate offers out there right now. How could a service consultant even keep track? Well, they don't need to. They can look right there. In this case, you see two different tires that are being offered, and the customer might say, well, a Continental, I don't know the other brand, but they're a little pricey. And then you can show the customer right there in front of you, well, you know what, right now we have a $110 national rebate offer, and you give them one install price. And if you can see there, it might be a little difficult to see on the screen. In this case, this dealer has Sunbit integrated with the DRSG. So you'll see there that you can offer the customer monthly payments, and it'll show you what the monthly payment is right there for the tires. And a lot of people aren't expecting necessarily to make that kind of investment on a service visit, but now you have a way to offer the customer some options. I want to talk a minute about EVs, and for us, of course, that means the ID4, the ID Buzz that'll be coming out later this year. And I think most of us on this call probably know that in general, EVs are tough on tires. The cars are heavier, they've got torquey motors. And if you've seen some of them, some of these vehicles, you know, depending on the driving habits, you may see chunks of rubber missing from the tires, and it all depends on their driving style. You may have customers showing up even now that are saying, "Hey, this it's got 18,000 miles on it, and we're trying to sell them tires." They may be getting upset. They may be even angry. They may think something's wrong with the vehicle. And I would advise you that, just like I was saying with the MPI and with the walk around, anytime an EV is in your service drive, I would be talking to that customer about their tires. I'd be looking down, I'd be touching them, I'd be checking them out, even if the car's only got a few thousand miles on them, and starting the conversation about tires. We all know that these tires don't last as long. As a matter of fact, when I was talking to some folks from Continental, they told me that about on average, an EV is going to have about 60% of the tread wear that a similar tire on a gas-powered vehicle will have. Okay, again, vehicles are heavy, torquey motors, and that might be upsetting, but the service consultant, I think, needs to explain some things to the customer. And for EV tires, the tires, when they design them, they prioritize traction, the load rating, and also decrease rolling resistance so that the battery life is extended. And also there's technology, believe it or not, that is built in to reduce noise, road noise, because you don't have the drone of the engine to mask some of that noise. So all of these things are built in to the tires, and it makes it a little bit different than a tire that would go on a gas-powered engine. I think that if you took the time to explain this and educate an ID4 owner, they would perhaps understand why, with maybe only 18,000 miles, they need a set of tires. It does take, again, building rapport, building a relationship, and having those conversations. And I would advise that you start those conversations. Don't wait until they need tires. Start talking to them as soon as you see an ID4 customer on your drive. The used car department is another opportunity for selling tires, and parts managers especially, I would like you to make sure you're having conversations not just with your used car manager, but make sure that you're on the same page with the general manager and the dealer owner. I know that reconditioning costs can sometimes be a sensitive issue. The used car manager, of course, wants to keep costs down, and we can't blame them for that. However, the tires, where you source your tires, that should be your decision and the dealer's decision. And just I would make sure you're having those conversations. One thing to keep in mind, if you're going to certify a Volkswagen, if it's going to be a Volkswagen certified pre-owned vehicle, the tires must be OEM or OEA. You cannot have a tire on those vehicles that are not OEM or OEA and certify them. That's part of the program. The good news on that, you use our tires, you get the 2 years of road hazard coverage. There's a CPO tire rebate offer available on most of the tires. Right now, there's actually an EV program for CPO. So we were just talking about EVs. So it's very likely if you're going to certify an ID4, it's going to need tires likely. So that's another thing to consider there. If you have a non-certified Volkswagen, or if you have an off-brand vehicle, we do have an economy line of tires available right through the VW tire store. And if you buy them from us, it does count towards your purchase objective and your PPB. I want to talk a little bit about some marketing resources. Tremendous amount of materials, as I mentioned before, on, I won't go through every single one here, but if you go into marketing IQ, you can check out all of the things like smart campaigns and on-demand templates that you can use, call lists that you can put together, and then access the national campaigns like the Buy Three Get One, digital platforms like the servicedeals.com. Here's some examples of some of the marketing that you can access. Of course, the national promotions. You can also do email campaigns on demand. use website banners, use some of these images for your own social media and promotion. And then there's similar materials that I'll show you in a second for marketing in store. And getting to some of those resources and tools here, the VW Tire Store is going to be just we say VW hub for all of our things Volkswagen. This is really the tire selling hub, the VW Tire Store. And it is just a tremendous amount of resources, marketing, training resources. Here on the right-hand side, you'll see also a glimpse of the trackers that are in there for some of our promotions, like the Bridgestone trip to the Nashville Grand Prix, and then the status on the bottom right there for the VW Tire Pro, which I'll show you what that's about in a second. Just an example of the amount of training resources that are in there right now. You can do some online stuff. There's virtual instructor-led as well. And you can see some of these modules are just a few minutes. And it's something that a service consultant, I would advise them to take and go through. It will help them, with things like phone etiquette and basic selling skills, but also some specific tools such as the DRSG, how to use price match guarantee, and road hazard to help customers buy into our program. Also in the VW Tire Store, for buying tires through us, there is the Points Plus system. Points Plus those points can be redeemed for merchandise, but it can also be redeemed for marketing materials and for even just for storage. So if you were looking for just from some storage racks for your for the parts area, you can get that. But then there's some customer-facing storage, like those roller racks there with a nice sign on it, a nice VW branded sign that says "We sell tires." If you have a service write-up area, service drive, that may be many of you have that there, and be a good thing to use those points on to help promote your tire sales. There are also some other items in there, like depth gauges and even brake gauges that you can order through the Points Plus store as well. Some of the marketing materials you can order through there as well. This is an example of how you might use it when you lay it out. You have window clings there on the left. Some of the other signage that shows the red, yellow, green, or where you are on tread wear. There are some digital assets that are available as well for perhaps the customer waiting area. And then the tire inserts that you see there on the right. This is a close-up of the tire inserts. It's just an example. There are actually dozens more like this that are available right in the portal to help. Displaying tires can be a little bit of a tricky thing without making the showroom or the waiting area look a little messy. So having tires with these nice branded inserts that are informative, it's a very nice touch to keep customers informed and still have the showroom area look nice. Here's an example of some window clings that you can have in the service write-up area or the customer lounge. Educating customers on tires and of course the importance of keeping up with tire maintenance. These are the current promotions right now, the national rebates that I said here, and I said 6 before. It's actually 7 that are going on right now. National rebate offers, and again, it's a little tough to track if you were just going to go off this chart and try to sell to a customer. However, if you're using the DRSG, this will help tremendously because these rebate offers will come up automatically there when you go in to sell. Last thing I have actually here is the tremendous amount of incentives that we have going on right now to help with tire sales. And these are all geared towards, most of this actually, I should say, is geared towards service consultants. On the top left there, we have our summer tire sales incentive. This is exclusive to the Northeast region. And it is a promotion where You sell tires, the service consultant sells tires in June and July. For every 4 tires that they sell, they'll be given an opportunity to be put on this board to be randomly selected for a prize. And the prizes are valued up to $500. They can be called multiple times and have the ability to perhaps win even thousands of dollars on the live event that we're hosting on August 21st. So it's a fun way to incentivize our service consultants, get them a little excited about selling tires, and they can double dip a little bit, right? Because we have the next gen, the AIM program where they can get next gen miles for selling tires. Technicians can earn miles for tires as well. We have earlier in the year, we had our Continental trip where we sent 20 of our dealers to Uvalde, to the Continental Proving Grounds. Right now, we have the contest for the Grand Prix in that's the Music City Grand Prix, which is in Nashville in September. And the runnings are for that. Again, you can track that right through the VW Tire Store. We also have the VW Tire Pro, which is another program that gives away quarterly rewards up to $1,500, as you can see there on the bottom right there. And then there's a grand prize at the end of the year valued at $5,000 there. With that, I am going to move to the Q&A. And if you all have any questions, please go ahead and use the dialog box there, where you can hit and ask a question within Teams. Everybody's muted here, but we do encourage that you go ahead and put some questions in. And do we have questions so far? Let's see here. I don't see anything. Oh. Okay, great. And it was just a question about the presentation, and yes, we will send a copy of the presentation out to everybody. Okay, while we are waiting for some other questions to come up here, I wanted to invite Kevin Henry, who's our account manager for Dealer Tire. I just actually had a couple of questions for you. I was just wondering, I mentioned, I think one of the things that when I talk to dealers about tires, one of the things that I know is sometimes a barrier for selling tires is that sometimes the price, we have customers coming in, the car is only 3, 4, 5 years old. Customers are coming in for warranty work. And now we're faced with the prospect of selling them something, a ticket, giving them an estimate that could be $1,000 or more. And I know that some service consultants are a little apprehensive to selling tires. What do you do? What do you and your team do when you're out in the stores and talking to them to help the service consultants to overcome that?
Hey, Brian, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hey, Kevin.
Okay.
Thanks for joining.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, so obviously tires are a big ticket item, which sometimes causes some sticker shock. So a couple of things. One, obviously don't prejudge the customer. You never know what's important to them and, what their spending situation is. And then, I mean, Brian, you just listed all of the tools that are available to the advisors, but a couple in these instances, right, are the Sunbit, which allows you to pay it off, I believe, over 6 months or 3 months, depending on the plan, interest free. So you can pay it off a little bit at a time. You can talk about the price match, and I think price match eliminates the conception that the dealer is more expensive and kind of relieves the customer's mindset a little bit. And then, lastly, well, not lastly, but one of the other big ones is the rebates, right? So even as a guy that only handles tires, it's hard to keep up with what tires are on what rebates. And, it's not always June 1st to June 30th. Sometimes it's June 15th to July 8th. And, to keep up with all the rebates going on, I think just present confidently, right? Tires are an expensive item, but don't prejudge the customer and utilize the tools if price becomes an issue.
Great. And for dealers that are selling tires, but I don't know. I mean, sometimes our dealers are a little price conscious, and then they look and they may find a local tire supplier that maybe a little bit less than us. So what do you have to say about that? I mean, is why should a dealer still buy from us?
Well, I think, the Volkswagen program, right? The parts purchase incentives, it all
Hmm.
counts towards that. And, a lot of the local vendors will tell you that, yes, we have a road hazard program, but a lot of times they'll just forgive the one tire. But what if it happens 2 times or 4 times or 8 times? Our road hazard program is 2 years. It's guaranteed. It's 100% covered for the tire, which is a big selling point. A lot of the other road hazard programs are either prorated or only for 1 year, or it has to be certain tread depth to qualify. So um, as long as it's 330 or above, the road hazard program is 100% covered. Customer does pay for labor, but the tire itself is covered. So once again, and to keep everything through Volkswagen and the Volkswagen tire program should make it easier for the dealers.
Great. Hey, thanks. I'm just checking. I don't see any questions here other than the question about the webinar, the presentation, which we will be sending out shortly after this. Kevin, I'm sorry. I have one question for you while I got you in front of everybody. And sorry if I'm putting you on the spot here, but I mentioned the DRSG a couple of times, and as you can see, I'm pretty passionate about using it and how dealers can use it to sell additional tires. Yet I do hear from a lot of our dealers, a lot of our farms who they don't seem to use it all the time. The ones that are using it, they use it and they sell tons of tires, but then there are others that don't. What are you hearing out there as far as why a dealer is not doing it? And is there anything we can do to maybe help them to start using it?
Yeah, so one thing I've kind of discovered more recently, just, speaking to advisors and trying to get in their mindset, right, is car comes in, technician gets the tire quote from the parts department puts it on the RO and sends it back to the advisor. A, a lot of times the advisor mindset, right, is your car needs something. Do you want it or not? Right? It needs brakes. It needs an alignment. There's a flush. Whatever. Do you want it or not? It's a yes or no question. Where with tires, if the no is price conscious, which most of the time it is, this is where you have the DRSG to utilize, a good, better, best strategy, or present different options to the customer, right? So kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier, Brian, that it builds trust that you're trying to help them out by giving them other options. Now, depending on inventories, right? Sometimes um, the tire they have in stock may be more expensive, but I think if you're at least presenting like, hey, if you want to go with the cheaper tire, it'll come on our next run. We might have to, um, you know, uh, wait a little bit longer, or maybe we can give you a ride somewhere and come back and pick you up, or a loaner, or whatever the case may be. But I think sometimes the advisors get caught in the yes or no mindset
Mm,
instead of
yeah,
trying to present other options like you can with tires, especially when it comes to being, a price conscious thing.
that's a great point. That's a great way to look at it. I appreciate that, Kevin. Thanks for joining us. I do not see any questions, and hopefully that means that you all got a lot of information out of this. And if not, you can always email me, and I will follow up with you. We'll go ahead and wrap it up. Again, I showed you this slide before. I just, I implore you, please just, again, tires are great positive to add to your business. But my bigger fear is what happens when you don't get the tire sale. You're not just losing the tires. You're losing other things. So please keep that in mind. Use the tools, the many tools and resources that you have. If you need help, call me, call your farm, and call your dealer tire account manager, and we can all help you with that. Thanks for joining this webinar. Again, part of our series we're doing once a quarter for parts managers. Our next one's going to be September 19th on some e-commerce and online sales. A recording of this will be sent out to you as well as the presentation itself. Any questions, please go ahead and contact me. Thanks so much for your time. I appreciate you all being here. Have a great day.